If you're transitioning from an HSA eligible health insurance plan onto Medicare, watch out. There could be a 6-month look back period that could penalize your contributions. I'll explain that so you can avoid it. That and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. The HSA is the financial Swiss Army knife, if you will. And gosh, I'm such a geek, right, for saying that. However, it's an account, it's a tax sheltered account that's unlike pretty much any other in that your contributions that go into it are tax deductible. The money goes in tax-free. And then when you use the money for qualifying medical expenses, and guys, that's a long list. There's a lot of things you can use it for. You pull that money out tax-free. That's the only type of tax shelter that I know of where it's pre-tax in and tax-free out. But there's more. You can actually take that money and accumulate it, maybe even invest it, depending on if you can, keep your hands off of it and keep it long term so that you can kind of ride through the ups and downs of the stock market. You can invest it. That growth is tax sheltered. And then you can save up all your out-of-pocket receipts and then reimburse yourself from this much larger account out there in the future. And they call that shoeboxing, but really compound the benefits of this pre-tax in, tax-free out. And then if that's not enough, you can even, if I run out of medical expenses or some huge major shifts happen in the health insurance world and out there in the future, you really don't have as many qualifying out-of-pocket expenses because laws change or something like that, you can withdraw these dollars and have it be just like an IRA, that once you turn 65, you can draw the dollars out. No penalty. It will be taxable, but it worked just like your 401k or IRA, where you have a benefit, a deduction going in, and then you just got to pay the tax on it coming out. So Swiss Army knife, guys. In some ways, it's unlike any other account. Other ways, it's like an IRA. Other ways, it's like a retirement account. Very, very, very beneficial. So I get it. If you have a qualifying high deductible health plan, and you'll know because it will say HSA eligible, something like that, then you've got to figure out, should you be funding your HSA? If so, how much? If so, do you have the cash flow to then fund your out-of-pocket expenses elsewhere and treat that HSA like a long-term investment account? Lots of decisions, lots of tax planning that you've got to work with your CPA and CFP on. But here's the thing, one of the catches is in order to contribute to the HSA, you've got to have this qualifying high deductible health plan, but you can't have any other health insurance either, right? Because get this, say you're married, right? Say you're married and you have a qualifying high deductible health plan through your employer, and your spouse has a high cost but really rich benefit and low deductible plan. Well, what would prevent you from having both, right? There might be a little bit of cost, but having both, and then you can fund your HSA, and then when you start having out-of-pocket expenses, the insurance, your spouse's insurance, starts covering it, right? So that's sort of the loophole that they tried to close by saying, listen, in order to contribute and deduct your HSA contributions, you have to have a qualifying high deductible health plan, but you can't have any other health insurance. That's it. And that is a requirement. How will they know? I don't know, guys, but that is the rule. So here's the thing. If you are approaching Medicare, if you are approaching retirement and transitioning onto Medicare, there is actually this gotcha. There's this unique 6-month look-back period with Medicare in certain instances that could mean you are disqualified from making contributions to your HSA and deducting them 6 months prior to, transitioning from work. Here's how this works. Say that your full retirement age is 67 and you're working at a job that has a high deductible health plan, an HSA eligible high deductible health plan, and you're going to work until 67 until you get your full Social Security. Well, you're eligible for Medicare at 65, but because you're on a group health plan, you're going to stay on that group health plan and not sign up for Medicare until you retire and transition on Social Security. You'll transition to Medicare at the same time. And because you've got this high deductible health plan, you're making contributions to your HSA all along. And as soon as you retire, you're going to stop your contributions to your HSA. You know the rule that, hey, I'm not going to double dip here. I'm not going to contribute to my HSA as soon as I'm done, after I have that plan. So I'm going to contribute right up to that point till I retire, until I get on Medicare, and that's it. They even allow, for those of you that are doing this very precise, and because of the benefits, I'd encourage you to be precise, they even allow in the year that you transition from a high deductible health plan to a different health plan, you can contribute a pro rata amount to your HSA. So you've got that all nails. So at 67, you retire, you switch off of that group health plan onto Medicare, and you think you're good, but you're not. There is actually a rule. Check this out. If you transition onto Medicare after turning age 65, then there is a 6-month retroactive application, 6 months retroactive to your start date for Medicare, for when Medicare starts, but not before 65. So if you retire or transition onto Medicare at 65 in 3 months, then there's this retroactive where you'll actually be on Medicare starting at age 65. Take this example, and I know this is confusing and didn't communicate it that great anyway. Take that example where you're going to transition and retire at 67. Because of this rule, you would actually have Medicare started 6 months prior to that, automatically 6 months earlier. So you'd actually be on Medicare at age 66 and 6 months. You wouldn't need to apply at that point. You could apply at 67, but they're automatically going to make your coverage retroactive for 6 months. That creates a problem with funding an HSA. If you'd been funding your HSA right up until age 67, this would now mean for 6 months, you funded an HSA when you weren't eligible to do so, and if you deducted it, then now you've got this penalty, this 6% penalty for an excess contribution, creates all sorts of other problems. So you've got to be aware of the 6-month retroactive start date for Medicare if you're transitioning onto Medicare after age 65. Very confusing. Work with your certified financial planner on this, but where is this an issue, okay? It's not an issue if you're transitioning onto Medicare directly at 65. It's not, okay? This only applies if you're transitioning onto Medicare after turning 65. Of course, this is not an issue if you don't have a qualifying high deductible health plan or you're not making HSA contributions. Not an issue, okay? So where is it an issue? If you're gonna work past age 65, if while you're working past age 65, you've got a qualifying high deductible health plan and you're funding an HSA, and it's an even bigger issue if it's not just you funding your HSA, it's your employer that's also maybe putting a match in or making a contribution to your HSA as well. That's where the issue is. Okay, so then how do you correct the issue? Well, number one, you got to be aware of it, and hopefully this helps you, but it's no substitute for working with your CFP, so make sure you're doing that. But then how you fix it is recognize and calculate how much was contributed that shouldn't have been, and then withdraw those dollars from your HSA before you file your taxes. And then make sure when you file your taxes, you don't deduct those contributions, okay? And if your employer made a contribution for you, you've got to take those dollars out. You've got to make sure those are not deducted. In some instances, you might even need to request a corrected W-2 from your employer. So that's the rule. That's where it applies. That's how you can avoid it. Or if you find yourself where, hey, I've kind of made this mistake, this is how you can sort of unwind it. Work with your certified financial planner. The HSA, the health savings account, is a significantly versatile financial tool. You're going to want to use it. Some people look at this confusing rule and say, okay, well, at 65, I'm just going to stop contributing to the HSA. Well, maybe that might be safe, but you also could be giving up some tax benefits by doing that as well. So you work with your certified financial planner who's doing comprehensive financial planning and who's a tax expert or who is proficient in taxes and can work with your your CPA to make sure you've got the right tax planning strategies and you're aware of this and on top of it. If you don't have a CFP on your team that has those credentials, that work experience and works with the CPAs and does that tax planning work, then you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com, you can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.